Well, welcome everyone to the first ever virtual fundraising banquet here at Life Choices. My name is Marty Mandek, and I am going to be the MC for this evening. I know that this looks a little bit different for some of you who have experienced our in-person banquets before, and I just want to let you know that this is a little awkward for us too, but we're going to get through this evening and we are going to have so much fun doing it. You are going to learn about not only who Life Choices is, but what we're about and how you can partner with us and join in this fight for life. So how the evening is going to look is it's going to be about 45 minutes of your time. So that's what we're asking you to commit to, and it's actually going to be followed by a Q&A session where you're going to get to actually send in your questions, and hopefully we'll be able to answer them to the best of our abilities. And we're just going to have such a good time tonight, and I really am thankful for you all for joining in with us. And I also just want to give a special shout out to our virtual table hosts. So usually at our in-person banquets, we have table hosts who invite guests to come and experience the night with them. Well, this year we have what we call our virtual table hosts, people who have invited individuals and families alike to come and join them in watching this live event. So thank you so much for working out all the kinks with us and just being here, being present, and inviting the friends and family that you have invited. So for those of you who may have never experienced a banquet or our ministry before, Life Choices, our mission here is to see every life valued. And we hope that you see that throughout the evening. And how we accomplish that on a regular basis is that we empower choices for life, sexual integrity, and healthy families. And so this evening, you're going to be able to hear from different members of our staff. You're going to be hearing from our executive director, Angela Kupis, in a few moments. And she's going to kind of walk you through a timeline of where we came from, what we're doing right now, and what our goals are for the future as a ministry together. You will also be hearing from BJ Hyatt. He's another member of staff here, and he's going to be kind of giving us all, staff included, a charge, a pro-life charge, something to take away from this event more than just a bunch of information. He's going to be giving us a challenge to go out and to be pro-life. And you're also going to be able to hear a testimony from what would have been our in-person guest speaker, Amy Brooks. She is a local figure here to the Western PA area, and her story, I promise you, her story is an incredible one, and it speaks so clearly to this pro-life movement that we're a part of. And then later on, you'll be hearing from me again, and what we're going to be doing is this evening is a financial virtual banquet. It is a financial appeal for you all to join in with us financially. And we understand that during this time where the world has kind of paused, right? And a lot of you may have been affected by that financially. We want you to first off understand that we get that. We understand that some of you may be struggling financially right now, and we do not want you to feel obligated to give if you are struggling. But at the same time, ministries like ours don't stop. And so partnering financially, not only one-time gifts, but monthly gifts are such a vital, it is the lifeblood that helps us to continue to do what we're doing even in this season of life right now. So thank you so much again for being here, and we hope you enjoy this evening. To be valued.
Considered important.
Beneficial.
Cherished.
Worthy of defending.
It's something that is considered one of the most essential human needs.
And yet,
we are quick to judge,
quick to diminish,
quick to look the other way.
As if
somehow someone else is less than.
Because they're different than.
We loudly proclaim all that we stand against.
But when was the last time you proclaimed what?
Or better yet, who you stood for?
What would that look like?
What would it look like to stand for the broken?
To stand for the poor.
The downtrodden.
Those who look different. Those who choose different.
Who've made mistakes.
To stand for every life.
So this
is our banner.
This is our rally cry.
We all have the same beginning.
God takes notice of us and cares for us in the womb.
All the way up until we are face to face in eternity.
We are irreplaceable in His eyes.
We have value.
If we could get that,
even a little bit,
we'd be very careful to protect the lives of others.
We would love and value others
out of the truth that they are valued.
And when that is our lens, we become inspired to love,
to live,
to stand with and for,
from the beginning of their lives to the very end.
No judgment,
no stipulations,
no exceptions.
We would protect others at all costs.
That
would set us free.
Free to heal the broken pieces.
Free to embrace the unexpected.
Free to step out of shame.
Free to free others.
So this is our rally cry.
Every life seen as important.
Every life cherished.
Every life defended.
Every life.
Every life.
Every life valued.
Good evening. My name is Angela Kupis, and I'm the Executive Director here at Life Choices. And I just want to thank you for joining us this evening. This isn't what we exactly envisioned for our spring banquets, but we've adjusted, and we're really excited to try out this new platform. So welcome to our first virtual banquet. I want to just take the next few moments and just share a little bit about Life Choices. For those of you that have been supporting us for years, we want to say thank you. We couldn't be where we are without you. But for some of you, I'm sure this may be the first time that you're ever hearing about who we are. But what I love about this ministry is that it's always been simple. We started as just a hotline for women facing an unplanned pregnancy. Our founder, Jesse Schaefer, actually answered that hotline in our home for multiple years. There was nothing extravagant about it, but it was just a simple act of obedience that God blessed. At that time, our actual name was Pregnancy Support Services, and Jesse and this small group of women just ministered to those in their community that just really needed material help when they were facing an unplanned pregnancy. They would help them with a crib, diapers, wipes, clothes, whatever it may be. But whatever was needed, these women were quick to help. This group had a passion for life and a desire to see every life valued. Most of them never received a paycheck, but that didn't matter because their passion drove them to love without limits and to show compassion to whoever needed them. In 2011, the ministry shifted. God gave us a vision to open a medical clinic that we could save babies from abortion. And in that vision, we rebranded to now, which is our current name, Life Choices. It was then that we opened our first medical clinic in Katanning called My Choice Medical. All we had was a medical doctor that oversaw the clinic. We had an ultrasound, and we had a staff that was ready and prepared to meet with women that were facing unplanned pregnancies. They were literally on the front lines fighting for the unborn. Since then, we've now opened 3 additional medical clinics extending to 4 different counties. We have one in Butler, in Indiana, and in Greensburg. The ministry has grown and changed over the years, but our mission and vision have never wavered. That same heart and compassion that started us 36 years ago is still the same today. It's probably only even stronger. Our staff is bold, they're passionate, and they're unwavering in their love for Jesus and for people. Life Choices has 3 ways that we see every life valued. We have an education team called My Choice Education. We have 4 medical clinics called My Choice Medical, and a maternity home called The Inn. Our education team educates over 3,000 students annually in 14 different schools. They also go into 3 county prisons and educate inmates on holistic health and empowering them to make better decisions for their life. Our education team will go wherever we can. Sometimes that means a college campus, sometimes that means a social service or a youth group. Wherever we can go, we'll educate because we believe that it's that important. Even though that we can't say the name of Jesus in the public schools, everything that we teach points back to the capital T truth. We want to make every student feel that they have value and they have worth. Our clinics have seen over 275 plus babies saved from abortion since opening our medical clinics in 2011. In this past year alone, we've seen 29 babies saved from abortion. Now that's 29 moms that their lives will never be the same, but that's 29 lives that were saved and given the gift of life. There are decisions for life that are happening on the ultrasound table all the time in our clinics. And I love hearing the stories from our clinic staff of those moments when the mom's eyes are opened to see that baby on the screen and them knowing that I can't choose for abortion because this is a life. Those are the moments that keep giving us passion and desire to fight for the unborn. The ultrasound room alone is literally a fight between life and death. We believe that it's so much more than just a physical battle, but it is a spiritual battle. It goes much deeper than that. And so that is why it's so important for our staff to be prayed up and ready to go in as they are fighting literally for the life of that child. I love that the ultrasound is such a great tool to do that, because at those moments, those moms' eyes are opened to see life for the first time. In John 10:10 it says, "The thief has come to only steal, kill, and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." Life Choices wants to be known not only for being pro-life, but also being pro-abundant life. That was really our heart behind the maternity home that we opened 3 years ago. In those 3 years, we've had 9 residents at the home at different times, and we've had 7 babies born in our care. When I think about the first baby that was born at the inn, I remember just holding her and thinking, even if she was the only one, she was worth it. Her mom came to us homeless. She was broken. She was hurting. She was in need of restoration. And that's exactly what we do at the inn. It's a place of restoration and hope. I heard someone say this, and I just loved it. It said, "We are found by a heavenly Father, but we are formed in a family." And the inn is a simple family setting. And that's what we believe. That's how we believe the residents will thrive, is in a family setting. We have house parents that live in the home with our residents, helping them to set goals so that they would be self-sufficient once they transition out of the inn. It hasn't always been perfect, but it's been exactly what God has asked us to do. There have been struggles and there have been victories, but when I look at those 7 babies that were born under our care, they were born into a healthy family, and it's all worth it. We just welcomed our new resident into the inn this past week, and our house parents, Bill and Ginger, are just thrilled to be able to welcome her in and just start this journey to wholeness and restoration with her. Through this pause that we've all been experiencing right now, our staff has not stopped working. Our clinic staff has still been answering phone calls. They've been connecting with our clients as much as they can. They've really been the church to our clients. We've also used this time to develop our app that we're going to be launching the end of May, beginning of June. And that app is just a great resource that we're going to have for our current clients and our future clients. On that app, we're going to have some educational videos and resources. They'll be able to schedule an appointment. They'll be able to have some aftercare help, which means some post-abortion care and grief counseling. This does not take the place of our clinic. This is just an addition to our clinic and the services that we offer. We know that there are a lot of barriers for somebody to pick up the phone when they're afraid and give us a call. And so we want to remove all that they can check us out on the app, they can ask questions, and then we can take the conversation from there. So in some aspects, Life Choices looks a little bit different right now, but in some aspects, we're going right back to our roots. We're actually a hotline right now. We're answering phone calls. We're ministering to the men and women that need our services. And sometimes on those hotline phone calls, that one conversation can change everything. for that hotline, sometimes that one phone call from a woman that just found out that she's pregnant, that she's scared, doesn't know what to do, can actually turn into a life saved through a one conversation. Sometimes in the humble beginnings, God does some incredible things. And our ministry is all about life and life abundant. And I believe that that is the heart of our Heavenly Father. There is value and worth in every life, from the womb to natural death. So as I introduce our guest speaker for tonight, even though she's not with us physically, you're going to hear her story. And God's used her story to impact multiple people. And I know that you'll be impacted by her story tonight. So I want to introduce to you Amy Brooks.
Hi, I'm Amy Brooks. I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and this is my story. It's an absolute miracle that I am even here today. My birth mother had 3 abortions before me. As she was out of the country, she feared that she was going to miscarry me and was given a concoction of medicines to try and prevent the miscarriage. Because of that, I was born with a condition known as tetraphocomelia, which basically means having no arms or legs. Because of my birth condition, I was abandoned by my birth mother. She didn't want to have anything to do with me. One of the other family members even suggested placing me in a room and not feeding me. At the age of 2, I was adopted by Janet and Richard Brooks. And from the very beginning, my parents went into a covenant with God, and they asked him to guide them and to show them how to raise somebody like me, because obviously I was nothing that they had had before. And from then on, God just showed my mom how to help me do things like sit up and roll over, normal things that, babies and toddlers have to do. There are definitely challenges in my everyday living. Everything from even brushing my teeth to, uncovering it in the morning, walking, brushing my hair, getting dressed, writing, texting. For a girl, putting on your makeup. Most people don't think about it when they're doing it. I can do all of those things. I just have to find a different way to do it, and God has definitely helped me to see those ways, and if I can't figure it out the first time, he helps me think of another way to do it. Logic is my service dog. She actually helps with some of those things, and in the morning she uncovers me, and she turns lights on and off for me when the ones that I can't reach. She also helps me to get upstairs so that I'm free to go upstairs to my room whenever I feel like it. She opens the trapdoor for me and closes it, and then, my stair lift takes me up and down. Life growing up in the Brooks family was, to me, normal. I wasn't treated any differently by my siblings. They didn't treat me like there was something wrong with me. I took the dishes to the kitchen when I was done eating. I helped clean and fold laundry and everything that my brothers and sisters did, I did too. And they included me in on everything. I believe that God doesn't make mistakes. I wasn't a mistake, even though my birth parents may have thought I was, and some doctors thought I was. They told my parents that I would never amount to anything. I would be strapped to a chair my whole life and I wouldn't be able to do anything. I wouldn't be independent. They'd have to feed me and take complete care of me. But, God doesn't make mistakes, and he had other plans for me. I serve in the local church because I love people. I love being around them. I love the one-on-one. I like to serve and to help people to see their purpose, and that God has a purpose for them. And that if I can do things like painting and, brushing my hair, as little of a task as that is with somebody, with hands, if I can do those things, then anybody, can do what they're called to do. And it's just stepping out and taking that first step and believing God for what he has for them.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is BJ, and I am one of the educators here at Life Choices. And I'm going to be honest, following a story like Amy's is kind of difficult. I don't know about you, but when I watch that story, when I hear her testimony, it makes me feel like I don't have anything that I need to be worried about, because she has so many things that she has to face, but she faces them with such grace and tenacity. She's able to overcome just about anything that life throws at her. And that's inspiring to me. But it does leave a question. The question is, well, how does that connect with Life Choices? How does it connect with being pro-life? Because it's an amazing story, yeah, but pro-life seems to be so much more of a narrow-focused thing. But what I want to talk to you guys about tonight is how it's so much bigger than maybe the box that we like to put being pro-life in. And how a story like Amy's is actually extremely pro-life, or as we like to say it at Life Choices, pro-living. And to kind of tie it in, I want to share a little bit of my story, because for me, when I started at Life Choices back in 2017, I was pro-life, but I didn't really know what that meant. I was, under the impression that being pro-life just basically meant, okay, don't kill babies. End of story. And in my time here, that idea has been expanded. That passion has been expanded to be so much more than the babies. Now, that transition for me didn't happen immediately. I didn't get it overnight. In fact, when I started, I was just in education, and it kind of felt like this little box within My Choice Medical Clinic, which was within the greater picture of Life Choices. And it kind of felt like I was just doing my own little thing in my own little world, and it was just a small portion of it. And it didn't feel a whole lot like being super pro-life. It was a great thing, and I had a lot of fun with it. But over time, that idea changed. I started to see the value of not only education, but I see how it was part of the greater picture of being pro-life. And going beyond just educating, it wasn't about the material, it was about the people. It was about the students. It's about the prisoners. It was about the clients. It was about the individuals that we had the opportunity to be with, to meet with, and to see on a daily basis. And when I started to see through that lens, it changed this idea of what being pro-life really was all about. Now, we have a number that we celebrate at every banquet and every day in between the banquets, as that number ticks higher and higher and higher as the weeks go on. And that number is our number of babies saved. Since 2011, we have seen over 275 babies saved. And when you see that number on on our website or on any kind of paper or pamphlet, you're going to see it written as 275 plus. And that plus is very interesting. That plus is very, very important. And I want to show you a little bit about why. That plus means there are babies out there that have been saved that we don't know about, that we didn't hear the end of their story, that maybe the mother came and saw us, left undecided, chose life, but we never saw them. But it's even more than that. That plus is the student in the classroom. That because somebody took the time to come in and teach them about their bodies and to show them that they had worth, that they're going to change the way that they're choosing and won't need to use our services in the future because they've chosen integrity and they've chosen to wait. The plus represents the mom who, because she came in and got education from our clinics, is going to change her patterns of life and is going to mature and grow as a mom and is going to take that home and grow and teach her children to be children of integrity. It's the dad who gets to celebrate the life of his child because the mother chose life because of an encounter she had in the prison. See, pro-life and this plus is so much more than just the one baby being saved. That one baby saved has a ripple effect that impacts the family, that impacts generations down the road. Amy, her story is part of that too. She's a part of the plus because her life early on was in question. The value of her life was in question, but somebody decided that despite all the issues that she was experiencing, she had value and was worth it to be saved. You are part of the plus just by being here and learning about who we are, by linking arm in arm with us, whether through education or maybe you're supporting us financially. You're a part of the ministry and you're a part of that plus. Because being pro-life isn't just about a small group of people who happen to be on payroll or volunteering who are doing the work. So being pro-life is a community of people. It's all of us together. The plus means every life. And that's what we're here, what we are about here at Life Choices, is to see every life valued. And when that realization for me set in, it transformed the way that I approached being pro-life. And it actually took it from being pro-life to being pro-living. And if you talk to any of the staff at Life Choices, we throw that term around a lot, pro-living, because it's so much more than just being pro-life. And when I consistently think about this, it pushes me to really ponder what it means even further. I have to ask myself, am I really being pro-life? And if I consider anyone as being less than in any way, I have to challenge myself. And I have to pull those thoughts in and reconsider, like, okay, wait, no. Every life is valuable, even if it doesn't seem like it on the surface, even if they're making some really bad choices. No matter who they are, they have value, and they deserve to be loved. And when I think through this, it reminds me of a song. I'm a musician, and I love music, and Casting Crowns is one of my favorite older artists, and they wrote a song called Jesus, Friend of Sinners. And it reflects the heart of God so much. And I want to share some of the lyrics with you as we continue to ponder this idea of what it means to value life and to value others even when they look differently than us. Jesus, friend of sinners, we have strayed so far away. We cut down people within your name, but the sword was never ours to swing. The world is on their way to you, but they're tripping over me. Always looking around, but never looking up. I'm so double-minded. A plank-eyed saint with dirty hands and a heart divided really challenges me. It starts with me in this scenario. And one of the lines that really gets me in the second verse says, "No one knows what we're for, only what we're against when we judge the wounded." And that was one of the things that I absolutely love about what I get to do, about being a part of this ministry, about being able to go into classrooms and look into the eyes of teenagers and to say, no matter what has happened to you in your life, you matter. You have value and worth. It's such a privilege because a lot of those kids never hear that. Prison inmates rarely hear someone say, you matter. You have value. I want to be known for who I'm for, what I stand for, rather than who I stand against. And I believe that us as an organization, that Life Choices as an organization stands on that firmly, that we want to know, we want our clients, we want our students to know that we stand for them. Not just that we're against certain choices, but that we're actually on their side. And kind of the crux of this, the kind of the main point, so to speak, the last verse, or the last couple lines of this song, again, kind of turns this reflection back on me, back on the individual, and where it says, I was the lost cause. I was the outcast. But you died for sinners just like me. We just had Easter last week, or a few weekends ago, where we got to celebrate Jesus' resurrection after he went to the cross. And it's so easy to kind of celebrate that and go, yay, God, you are great and mighty, but almost forget that what he just accomplished, he did so with you in mind, with me in mind. Despite all of my flaws, despite my past, despite my shortcomings, he died for sinners just like me and you. And when we have this lens, when we go into this idea of being pro-life, pro-living, it's going to change everything. It's going to change the way we see people. Because no longer am I going to see the homeless woman who's pregnant because of who knows what and is addicted to who knows what. I'm going to see a woman who's valuable, whose life is worth defending because the King of the universe died for her, just like he died for me. If he can look at us, if God can look at us and see our mess and love us all the same, how can we not look at his creation to look at people and love them any less? So that's the charge. That's the plus. And as we move forward as an organization, as we move forward arm in arm together as brothers and sisters in arms, let's value life as if we know that our own life is valuable. And if you've never heard it before, I hope you hear this, that you have value, that you have worth, that you are worth defending. Let that be the rally cry. Let that be the platform that we move forward as pro-lifers, as being pro-living together.
Well, thank you so much, BJ. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Amy, for allowing us to use your testimonial video. What an evening. We've learned so much about not only this ministry, but just what it truly means to be pro-life. And I hope that you've taken so much away from these last few moments that we've had together. And I do want to point out something about this ministry in particular. This ministry we call Life Choices. We do not receive any government funding in order to operate. As a matter of fact, the only financial support that we have is through people like you, personal donors, people who give one-time gifts, people who partner with us monthly, allow us to withdraw from their bank account, or people who send in a check every month in order to support what it is that we're doing now, but also to springboard us into what it is that we're trying to accomplish in the future, which is valuing life in every way, shape, and form. And so thank you. Thank you first and foremost for allowing us to just share a little bit about ourselves if you're brand new to this ministry. But thank you to those of you who have supported us from the very beginning. And so yes, it is at this time that we are going to do what we call the ask portion of this event. This is a virtual fundraising banquet. And before I go into any of that, I do want to just point out one more time, we understand the difficulty for some of you, financially speaking, that this season of life has caused. We understand that some of you may not be in a position right now to financially support us. And we understand that as just as much as we're asking from you, we don't want you to hesitate to ask from us. What can we do to help you? What can we do to value you, to show your worth and value? What can we do to truly be pro-living to you in this season of life? And so please feel free to reach out to us. But it is at this moment where I want to introduce you to a couple of different ways that you can give. But what I want you to remember is that your gift is not just a number to us. It's not just a check with dollar amounts written on it. It's not just dollars and cents. We see you, the donor. You're a part of this ministry just as much as we are. You may not be called to the front line, sitting knee to knee with clients, living in a home with residents, going into the prison or the classrooms and educating students and inmates alike. But maybe your part is to support us financially to get us into those places so that we can truly value life. And so with that being said, I want to walk you through a couple of different ways that you can give. There are plenty of options. Usually at the live events, I kind of walk you through different giving cards. But what I want to make sure and stress before I get into the different giving amounts is that there are one-time gifts and there are monthly gifts. So the difference is a one-time gift is just that. It is a dollar amount that you have prayed up on, that you decide to send in, that will be a one-time donation. And those help us so much in the here and now. I don't want to downplay the one-time gifts. But at the same time, this is a ministry, as you've learned this evening, that is ongoing. It never stops. And we have plans, we have goals to do even bigger and better things in order to value life and the communities that we service. And so that is where the monthly partnering comes into play. We have this goal as fortifying our ministry through monthly partners. 3,000 monthly partners at a minimum of $20 a month. Just 3,000 people at $20 a month would completely fortify this ministry financially. That is incredible. And so if you can give more than that, you're taking the place of somebody else. And so it's kind of the more the merrier, both financially and with people. And the whole point of that is God has kind of given us this vision of it's not about the dollar amount. It's about the people giving. And so don't miss that tonight. Don't miss the fact that don't just hear us talk about money now and think that we're looking past the person who's giving that money. We see you and we thank you. And so with that, if you are able to give tonight, I want to walk us through a couple of different giving options, both for one time and monthly. And so the easiest way to do that, this is something that we do quite often here, is people mail in a check. And so if you want to, you can mail in a check to the address that will appear on the screen. It's very simple, and you can make the check out to Life Choices for any dollar amount. And then what we do ask is that in the memo section of the check, you indicate first off that this is for the virtual banquet here 2020. But also, is this a one-time gift, or are you wanting to give this amount monthly? Please indicate on the memo section so that we can process that check accordingly. But another thing, first off, if you just have questions or if you would rather call in and give some information over the phone, you can call us at this number on your screen as well, and we would be happy. There are people on the other end of that line that would be happy to walk you through any questions that you might have in regards to giving. There is also a website that you can go to. A lot of you may be watching on a laptop or a computer or on your phones, and it's very easy to give online. And so I would like to take you to our donation page on our website, which is www.yourlifechoicesinfo.com/donate. That's yourlifechoicesinfo.com/donate. And it will take you to this page right here where you will see where it indicates the online giving options. And it says, follow this link to process your online gift through a safe and secure system. So you can go ahead and click on the PayPal link. Now it will take you to the default page here for PayPal, which will then indicate a couple of different things. So let's walk you through a one-time gift. There are already default giving amounts there. You'll see $20, $50, $100. But let's say I want to make a one-time donation to Life Choices for $10,000. So I go ahead and click that, and then right below that, this optional use this for donation box, I want you to click the drop-down arrow and indicate that this is for the virtual banquet of 2020. And then very simply after that, you can click donate with PayPal, or if you would like to donate with a debit or credit card, you can go ahead and click that there, which will then drop down into filling out your card information. And then once all of that information is complete, you can go ahead and click donate now, and that will send you on your way. However, we did indicate that there are two different types of givings. There is a one-time gift, but there are also monthly gifts. And monthly gifts, if you would like to do that, let's say I want to do $50 a month. So it's the exact same process, $50 a month, indicating that it's for the virtual banquet of 2020. But right beneath that, there is a very important box you need to check that says make this a monthly donation, which will then bring up something that looks like this that will basically say that we are authorizing PayPal to pay Life Choices this giving amount each month. So $50 a month, and you can go ahead and hit donate with PayPal. And I do just want to point out the difference between one-time and monthly giving. One-time giving can be done through PayPal with debit or credit card, but if you are going to be making a monthly donation, you have to have a PayPal account. Again, we put that number on the screen before the phone number. If you have any questions about this, please feel free to reach out to us, and we would be glad to walk you through this. And then the last giving option that you see here, besides a check or calling the office or using PayPal, is this text to give option. It is very simple. All you will have to do is text the word plus, that is PLUS, to 1-888-364-GIVE. That's 1-888-364-4483. And then what that will do is typically with text to give options, it's that simple. But what this specific giving platform does is it will send you then a link back. Click on that link through your text message and then follow the link to create a giving account. From there, you can just set up a one-time gift or recurring monthly gifts, and it is literally that simple. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here for the live Q&A for the Virtual Banquet 2020. Again, my name is Marty. This is Angela Kupas, our Executive Director, and BJ Hyatt, one of our educators / tech guy. He wears multiple hats. But what we're doing here for this portion of the event is we are hosting a live Q&A. So what we are planning on doing is you dropping any questions that you have about our ministry, about just what we do on a regular basis in the comments below. We would be happy to answer any and all of those. But we also are going to be addressing some of the more frequently asked questions that we get, I would say, on a regular basis at banquet events such as this in person. And so with that being said, just remember that if you missed any of what was going on beforehand, you can go back and reference that, especially with the giving options. You got to hear from myself, from Angela, from BJ, and from Amy Brooks even for different portions of the event. But also just remember that this is a fundraising banquet, so what we want to do is, I just kind of want to give you a recap that you can donate to Life Choices via mail. You can call in. All of that information will be in that Vimeo link. You can also donate through PayPal, text to give. There's so many different options. So just please, if you were going to give tonight, or if you're hearing this for the first time and you want to maybe go check that out and see what different donation options that we have, please go ahead and do so. But what we're going to do here right now is we are going to do a live Q&A. So if you are tuned in and you have any questions about our ministry whatsoever, please feel free to drop them in the comments below. We would love to hear from you. We'll do our best to answer them to the best of our ability. Angela and BJ are going to kind of take the reins on that. I'm just going to be kind of emceeing this portion here. But if questions don't come in, or if you guys are just here to listen to us kind of talk about our ministry, we do have about 6 questions that I would say are pretty typical that we get almost every year at our banquet specifically that donors and visitors and different people usually have about our ministry, some frequently asked questions. And so we're going to kind of kick things off here, but I'll also be kind of referencing the comment section. So if you do have a question about something that we've touched on, please feel free to ask and we will address it to the best of our ability. But so I'll start first with this question. If you did tune into the Vimeo banquet portion, we talk a lot about financially fortifying our ministry. And so rather than explaining all of that, again, just kind of give us like the highlight points of what does it mean when we're trying to fortify our ministry as a whole.
I'll start. I love how God just prepares us even whenever we're not prepared ourselves, I guess. God gave us this word in the fall. He gave a word to Joey, actually, he's part of our development team. And that word was fortify, and how we can fortify our ministry to make it strong by monthly donations. We rely solely on monthly donations and one-time gifts, church contributions, fundraising events. We get no government funding. And so there are times that we have seasons where it's lean and it's hard. And so this was kind of God's direction on just saying, like, if you get more monthly partners, even smaller amounts to come together, then we can fully fund this ministry just by monthly donations. And then above and beyond will help us to grow even more. And so I love how before we even knew all of this was going to happen, God already knew and was already preparing. And so in the fall last year, we started that process, and we had gained a ton of monthly partners just helping us springboard to 2020.
And what would that, BJ, if you don't mind me asking, what would that look like specifically? Like, how many monthly partners are we looking at? Is there an exact number? And
So for our ministry to be fully funded for the year, it is 3,000 donors at $20 a month. That's the giving limit there. That's the giving amount that would be for, if 3,000 people did it, we would hit our entire yearly budget just in monthly donors. And that is something that is so doable. And what's amazing about that is that it can be less, it could be more. And it's less about, this is what I love about Fortify. And this is, Angela said it, this is Joey Vegerano's vision, his dream. And this is all from him and what God has been doing in his life too. But, oh man, I'm live and I just lost my train of thought.
it's about people.
It's about people. Thank you.
Yeah,
it's about the people. It's not about us receiving any amount of money from you. It's about us desiring to connect with you, and that ties back to, that goes all the way up to our vision. Every life valued, and that's including our donors. We want to see every donor valued, which means that any even little amount, even if it's nothing, and you're just joining us in prayer and supporting us and talking about what we get to do, you're a part of our team. You're a part of our army. And the visual that kind of went along with this is, if you think about ants, right? One ant by itself ain't going to do anything. But you get an army of tiny little ants, and they can move just about anything because they're together, arm in arm. And that was the whole vision behind what Fortify is.
I was going to say, being pro-life isn't just about us on the front lines doing the work, but it's about all of us joining together and linking arm in arm and being pro-life community, being a pro-life together. So yeah, it's about that.
I think that's great, and I think you explained that very well. So, and by the way, there is a number that you can call both on our website and in the Vimeo video. So if you have any further questions and want to email us or you want to give us a call, please feel free to do that at any time. But another question that we typically get asked, specifically about our education department, our education field, so to speak. So we teach in both schools, social service agencies, prisons, things like that. One of the biggest questions that we get in kind of response to that is, wait, you said prison education? What is it that you teach to the inmates and why? And so, BJ?
Well, why? Why not? Right? And again, that's it. Mic drop. No, every life valued. Right? That's what we stand on, and that includes the lives of people who've made mistakes, even mistakes that have landed them in prison. And so we see the population, and actually it was Christy that started that, right? That was her vision 7, 8 years ago, a while ago, to get into the prisons because there's a population of people, men and women, who are inside the walls of these prisons who have been forgotten about, who they're in there for whatever they've done, but they still have value and worth, and they still are dealing with relationships, whether it's balancing trying to keep a relationship outside, or maybe it was the relationship that got them in trouble in the first place, and eventually they're going to have to get out and go face that relationship, or maybe it's dealing with the relationships that they're having to deal with within the four walls of the prison. Relationships don't stop. And so we go into the prisons to be at least one voice. I know we're not the only voice, but we get to be at least one voice that reminds these inmates, hey, you are a person of value. You still have worth. You still matter. And you matter so much that we want to help you get back on your feet, relationally speaking, to teach you how to have healthy relationships, how to deal with conflict properly, how to understand yourself holistically so that when you come out of this experience, you can better yourself. You can take a step forward and hopefully take a step out of where they are now and move forward and grow.
And I'm just going to piggyback on that because we have Marty that does our prison education in 2 of the prisons, and then Jerry, which does another prison in Greensburg, Westmoreland. No, I'm sorry, Indiana. We want to get in Greensburg. But what our focus is, especially whenever they go in, is we always just pray for deep conversations. And there have been many times that they've come back to the office just really excited about, one guy saying, I need to talk to you because I have unforgiveness issues, I have things I need to talk through. That's what it's about too. Not only educating them, but taking them deeper on a spiritual level that we can really get to the root sometimes of what is troubling them. So, and point them back to Jesus, which I love.
Absolutely. And I would say that the thing that I love most about it, just to kind of answer, since I'm the one that does the prison education along with Jerry, just being able to speak into these people's lives, I might be the first person to ever tell this man or woman that they have worth and value. I might be the first person to ever tell them that. And so rather than just forget about them and they fall through the cracks like so many of them often do, we get a chance to catch them and to start that restoration process. And so just what an honor and a privilege that is. So thank you so much for answering that. We're going to move right along here. And so one of the other assets of our ministry is the medical clinics. So My Choice Medical Clinics, we have 4 clinics in 4 different counties. And that's something that most of you are probably familiar with. If not, you can look us up, My Choice Medical Clinic. And one of the things, so we are considered a pregnancy resource center, but we also are a medical clinic that offers a variety of free services, medically speaking. And so being that we are pro-life, how, and I'm going to be careful how I word this question, but this is typically how it gets brought to us, is how do we get these women who are seeking abortion into our doors in the first place? Because we are a pro-life ministry. We have our medical clinics. Do they not... What gets them through the door, should I say?
I'll start. Well, our clinics are called My Choice Medical for a reason. We always say we don't put a life-saving name over the door just because we do want those girls to feel comfortable coming in. We want to kind of tear down any barrier that makes them feel like they're scared to come in, that they're going to be judged or judged. And so we want to just take that away. And so that's why we have My Choice Medical Clinic, and it's not Life Choices. The other thing we do is our 1-888 number, that is a toll-free number. That is their first step. And so we say when somebody calls, they may be seeking an abortion. We are very clear that we do not advocate for abortion. We do not refer for abortion, but we say, just come in and let us talk to you. Before you make that decision, just come in, let's meet with you, let's take a pregnancy test, let's make sure that you're pregnant, and let's start from there. And so usually we just say, we're your first step. So start here with us, and then we'll go from there. And so that gives us an opportunity to get them in the door, make them feel loved, make them feel valued, and that's where we can sit knee to knee with them and show them that we're here with you.
And one of the big hooks about that too is that process of bringing them in the door, doing the pregnancy test, doing that intake, that initial intake, is that falls under the law. Like there's a legal process that people have to go through. They have it's called 24-hour option counseling, right? That's what it's called. Within that 24-hour period, they need to be educated on the realities of their options. And so we offer that as a free service, where if they maybe go somewhere else, it may not be a free service. So that's a great way that we use to kind of just hook them in for that portion.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback on that, I would say that I love what our medical clinics do, because being the education director for this organization, I love the fact that we are pro-education in our clinics. We want to educate. So that being kind of what you said, the first step. Well, the first step should be, what are my options completely? Not what are some of my options, what are all of my options? And so I love that we offer that in a judgment-free zone. And then another thing about that is exactly our name, My Choice Medical Clinic. I love the fact that when they come in, they feel like they actually do have a choice. And we're not here to judge them for that. We're not here to sway them one way or another necessarily. We just want to empower them with the decision that I can make this choice, what's best for me, for my baby, for my family, so on and so forth. So we give them a voice. And it's a beautiful thing, and I love that. And so kind of keeping in theme of the medical clinic, so it's not just abortion-determined clients that we see. As a matter of fact, the biggest population I would say that we see are STD clients. People who come in looking for STD testing and treatment. That's something that's available at all of our clinics. And so can you kind of maybe touch on, why do we do STD testing? We're a pro-life ministry. We're supposed to just be worried about doing ultrasound, saving babies. Why STD testing?
Well, it's kind of tied to getting them in the door, right? That's one of the ways that we get them in the door, to build a relationship with them. But it's also an education thing too. We use that opportunity to educate them on their choices and about the reality of the consequences of their choices. When we talk about STD, a lot of people don't fully understand STDs. One of the things that I, as an educator, have learned, not only about high school students, but just learning about how the clinic side works too. There's a lot of people who are kind of in the dark on what STDs really are all about, what really how they can really affect them. And so by offering free testing, we can get them in the door and get the men in the door as well, not just the women, because we want to value the men as much as we want to value the women, and educate them about the realities of their consequences, and then kind of parlay that into educating them about themselves and going back into the whole making better choices, valuing yourself, forgiving yourself, moving forward, pulling back layers on guilt and depression and different things. That we open a lot of doors that start with STDs that you wouldn't necessarily get to. I mean, you might get there other ways, but there's something extremely vulnerable about someone sitting knee to knee with someone and saying, I have gonorrhea. Like, at that point, there's nothing for me to hide. So I'm going to talk about, I'm more willing to be open with you. So it builds relationship.
I was just saying, it's really about the relationship. Every appointment that we have is at least 2 appointments. So it gives us 2 chances to be able to connect with that client. And so maybe the first time they're a little nervous, they're a little scared, but when they come back a week later, that guard is down a little bit and they're a little more relaxed. And that's when I feel like a lot of the conversation, the deeper conversation, happens in that type of setting. It's not just about, okay, you have a half hour in and out appointment. We value people, and so we take as long as we need to for each appointment to be able to make sure they're heard, and then we can counsel them as best we can.
So I just want to go ahead and mention again, this is a live Q&A, so if you do have any questions, we're going through what are the frequently asked questions about our ministry, probably every year at each banquet. And so if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them into the comments below. But I also just want to explain again kind of why we're doing this the way that we're doing it. There was some technical difficulties. So for those of you who have kind of come late to the party here, there were some technical issues. I said in the beginning, the beauty of living in the 21st century is how much access we have to technology, and it's a beautiful thing. But when it goes up in flames. Not literally, that's not what happened. But when things go wrong, it creates chaos, and there was a lot of panic, but we had a lot of wonderful people behind the scenes making all of this possible. So if you missed our actual banquet link, we did go ahead and just upload that. A lot of it was pre-recorded, so we just wanted to upload that. It is in the link on the Life Choices Facebook page. It is a Vimeo link, so you can go ahead and click on that and check that out. And that will talk about our ministry as a whole, more specifically than what we're talking about now. And it will also go into how to partner with us financially, both monthly and one-time gifts. And so please go ahead and check that out. There's also a story of who would have been our guest speaker at our banquets, Amy Brooks. She is a local figure here, and I'm telling you, if anything, you want to go watch the Vimeo video for her testimony. It is incredible, and you will love how it ties into everything that we're talking about here. So thank you so much. If you do have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments, which we do actually have our first live question. I'm not going to call out who it is. You all can probably see it anyway. But specifically, and actually before I moved on to the other questions, because we're going to get into another aspect, this is just in general. This question says, how have you guys seen God moving in the ministry recently? And I think that's a really interesting question because it doesn't seem like movement is happening anywhere right now. And so how have we seen God move in the ministry recently? Angela, I think you should start with this one.
Oh, this is always whenever I cry. There have been multiple moments, even in the midst of all of this happening. I'm just really, see, I told you it was going to happen. There was literally a moment that I had probably a couple weeks ago. As I said, we're donor funded. In the midst of all of this, a lot of our donations were just kind of, I don't want to say a lot of them stopped. That wasn't the case at all, but we just weren't getting them in the mail like we normally would. And so we literally were down to hardly anything, and I had payroll happening. And I was panicked. I was going to have to transfer money, and literally I got on, and money was in our account. Jackie had done a deposit. There was literally enough money to provide everything that we needed, and I literally just started crying. Because it's those ways that God continues just to provide. That through all of this, we have not had to stop working. It looks different right now, but we're still working. I'm still able to employ all of our employees. They're still doing frontline ministry, just in a different way. And so God has just been so faithful, and at those times, he just keeps reminding me, like, remember what I've done, and I'm going to do it again. And I believe that he loves this ministry because he values life. And so as long as we're following him, he'll take care of it. And I believe that.
Yeah, absolutely. And another great example of the way God has worked is tonight. I mean, we can look at tonight and say, what a disaster. And if you would have seen us an hour ago, you would have maybe seen a little bit of disaster and panic. But God is so good in that we have people here who are gifted. You guys don't see them because they're off camera, but Ryan and Ben is his friend. Pete.
Thank you.
And another gentleman who actually I haven't even met yet, who has been helping us. Hi. Who's been helping us make this happen. It's incredible that God has brought so many gifted people to a ministry like this. You know, you wouldn't think maybe that a pro-life ministry would need a tech, a tech wizard who can do all this live stream recording and all this amazing stuff. But here we are. And even further than that, talking about our employees and the giftedness, yeah, it looks way different. But I have been in awe of how our people, especially in our clinics, our clinic managers, our nurses, how they've adapted, how they've continued to be innovative and to find new ways to reach out and connect and making phone calls and come up with different ways, just thinking outside the box and inside the box, which is a strange saying that we say. It kind of makes sense. I struggle with it. But regardless, they're amazing. And to see how God has just gifted the people that we get the opportunity to work with to continue frontline ministry and to continue to make pro-life, pro-living a culture even in the midst of all of this chaos.
So we have had a couple more questions come through. I'm going to kind of put you guys on the spot, but I do have an answer for this if you're a little nervous about it. But someone asked, do you have some good biblical arguments for life beginning in the womb or at conception? And I do have a little bit of a response to that. It may not be what this person wants to hear, but what I love about our ministry being pro-life is that term, pro-life versus pro-choice, right? Those have been so politicized, and I understand the reason for that. But what I like about our ministry is, this is something we've kind of adopted from a conference that we went to a few years back. We like to call ourselves pro-abundant living. So yes, pro-life being in the sense of we are, pro-life womb to tomb, and I could give you all where we kind of go from there. But what I like about pro-abundant living, and a biblical example I can give of that off the top of my head is in Matthew, when Jesus is talking about separating the people, and there's many who will say, Lord, Lord, did we not do all of these things in your name? And yet, what did they not do? They did not visit the sick. They did not visit the people in prison. They did not clothe the naked. They did not feed the hungry. They weren't, for lack of a better term, pro-life. That's how we view pro-life. It's not just about saving the baby. It's about saving the mom, and then it's about equipping that mom and baby, and hopefully a dad, and hopefully the extended family, and not just counting another victory. Okay, we got another one. It's, okay, now let's walk alongside of you, and let's make sure that, Jesus promised, he said that the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but I have come that you may have life and have it to the full. So let's help these people have life and experience life to the full. And so, yes, while there may not be a specific passage other than, the typical, before you were...
You knitted me in my mother's womb.
Exactly.
Psalm 139.
And we can go to those, and I think that's wonderful, but I don't want to just go to that and then end it there. I want to make sure that we understand that, yes, God has created everybody from the very beginning, even before they were knit together in your mother's wombs, and that he knows every hair on our head, and he knows us so intricately. But then he also wants to see us live an abundant life in his son, Jesus. And so let's walk alongside of people. So I love that aspect of our ministry.
I was going to say, if we are his disciples, right, we're following Jesus, this is what he's about. So that is, in turn, what we are supposed to be about, is about seeing life valued and seeing life in a different way, that every person is knit together in their mother's womb. Every person is made in the image of God. And so that is our responsibility, and that's our fight, is we want to do what Jesus asked us to do.
I think that was again, getting us, kind of in the hot seat. That would be our knee-jerk reaction answer, and I think I stand by everything that we said. Obviously, with more time and effort, we'd be able to sit down and have a longer discussion about that, but I think that's a wonderful question. I think every Christian who claims to be pro-life should understand pro-life as a whole, and not just from the womb, but also throughout life and things like that. So there is a couple questions kind of referring back to the prison. So we did touch on that earlier. Again, for some of you who may be joining in, this is just a live Q&A where we're taking questions that are coming in through the comments, but we're also kind of going over some frequently asked questions that we typically get. And one of the things we touched on earlier was prison education, but someone wanted to know what those classes look like. Are they mandatory? Do the inmates even like what we're teaching them? Because, we could go into the prisons, but we're not welcome there, or they don't.
I think you need to answer this one.
Yeah.
You're the one that does it. So.
Okay, I'm supposed to just be the MC, but I can answer this very quickly. The classes look like this. It's a 6-week course, and we talk about holistic health. And I'm actually going to kind of couple this with there's a question that says, you teach in schools? How? So I'm going to kind of cover the what we talk about in the schools and prison as a whole, and then I'm going to let BJ talk about maybe how many schools and kind of how well received we are there as well. So with the prisoners, it's a 6-week course. It's once a week. It's typically how I do it. Jerry does it a little bit differently, and it's per the request of the prison. The lead counselors there and the ones in charge, we're kind of at their mercy, and they're wonderful. We have such a wonderful rapport with Armstrong, Butler, and Indiana County. Westmoreland County, if anybody knows any contacts for Westmoreland County Jail, please hook us up in the comments below. But it's a very simple structure. It's an hour-long class once a week, and we talk about holistic health. We talk about making healthy sexual and relationship choices from a holistic perspective, which means physically, intellectually, emotionally, socially, and spiritually. And by the end of the course, they understand that they are more than just physical beings, that they have intellect and emotions and a social life and morals and all of these things, and it all ties together. And as far as being well received, I've been told...
Let's say, tell them about the certificates and stuff.
Okay, yes, and it is not mandatory. I like to keep... there was some push in the beginning to maybe put it as a mandatory course. I like it to be optional because then I know the ones that are coming week in and week out want to be there. And let me tell you, there's a lot of them that love my class and that have taken it time and time again. And I'm fine with that. I love repeats, okay? So, and then, yeah, at the end of the 6 weeks, they get a certificate of completion, which, again, might be the first certificate of completion they've gotten for anything. And so some of them are super appreciative to get a little cardstock paper that says, your name has completed this course, because it's the first time they've completed anything in their life. And so it's something to take with them. A lot of them take that to their parole officers, and, taking classes helps, make early parole and things like that. So if these people are coming with just trying to get out of prison early, listen, they're going to sit under the truth. They're going to sit under my voice, and I'm going to love on them whether they want to be loved on or not. And so we have a lot of fun. It's very good.
Can I just add one thing?
Sure.
I know when we first started this, we started in Butler. That was our first prison that we were in. Everything we do is free, so we don't charge to go in there. We don't require any money. We do everything for free. All of our services are free. And I think one of the administrators basically asked, why would you want to do this? You're coming in here, you're spending time with the inmates. Why? What gain does it give you? And I don't know if you want to just answer that.
Well, I would even say this, and this was another question actually that I remember seeing is, do the inmates, is there any follow-up with them when they get out? And quite frankly, we've had a number of inmates get out and actually come to our clinics for testing. So if anything, even if that was the only reason we're doing what we're doing, is to get them in the door to just making a better choice, making sure that I'm STD free, and making sure that I'm getting more information about relationship education, and making sure that I'm getting more information about how to make my marriage work better, or how to be a better parent, or, oh, you offer parenting classes there, how to put in a car seat? I don't know how to do that, and I have a baby on the way. I know that I can come here for free. So there's so many connections to our ministry just through the prison education alone, and so I would say that's one of the best benefits. But just in general, again, it kind of goes back to this idea of why not? They're human beings. They have value. They're no different than me. I've made mistakes in my life. I've just not been caught for any of them. You know what I mean? These are people that just have made mistakes and got caught. And so they're serving time for that. And they recognize that, but they also are still human beings that have worth, value, and need to be loved on. And so I've built great relationships with some of the inmates over the years. I miss them during this time. I don't know when I'm going to be allowed back into the prison. I don't know when we're going to be allowed back in the schools. And so I don't want to take up any more time. Hopefully that answered your question. But then someone did talk about the schools. So you teach in schools. Maybe how many schools, and what does that look like?
So I always lose track. I think it's 14? 14-ish schools, plus some youth groups and some social services around the areas. We go in through primarily through the health classes. We usually get in contact with the health teacher, the PE teacher. Sometimes we go in through the school administrators. What allows us to go in, and this is kind of where the school education differs from the prison education. We go in as what's called SRA, Sexual Risk Avoidance Education, which is, well, regardless, I don't say Jesus. That's the point I'm trying to get to. We go in as purely science, research, fact. And when we go in, we always talk about the capital T truth in the schools. So I can't say the name of Jesus, but when I'm teaching about how the chemicals in the brain react in certain ways, it points to him. It points to the way that God created us, and so that's always beautiful. But it's through the contacts in the schools that we make. We build relationships. They have to cover this stuff, and we come alongside them and say, hey, we'll give you a week to catch up on your grading, and we'll just teach it for you, basically, and it's free.
For free.
For free. Right, it's one of our free services, and so we get to go in, and there's some teachers that we've had long-standing relationships with that will kind of just reach out to their teacher friends. That's how we've gotten through some of our contacts. It's amazing. I love it, and the students there are also really receptive of it. This is going to be really bizarre. This was bizarre for me, but I remember one time I was out Christmas shopping with my family, and a teenager ran up to me in the mall and was like, and loudly, like not ashamed, "You taught the sex class," like in front of all his friends. My mom was like, "That kid just openly admitted to seeing a sex teacher, sex ed teacher." And
Clarify, BJ. Clarify.
and how huge that was, because that's an embarrassing. So yes, they engage. I absolutely love it. I never would have guessed in a million years that I would love teaching about sexual health, but it's an amazing opportunity that we get. So,
and it's something that we teach as young as elementary school. We kind of talk about puberty and things like that, and then we do.
It's a slightly different curriculum. But
it is definitely a different curriculum, obviously. But then we kind of transition into more relational education with the holistic health. But we do have just a relationship education program for them that kind of just helps them navigate relationships, good date, bad date, self-worth and respect. We talk about child development in one of the family and consumer science classes in one of the school districts. So there's just a lot of opportunity to kind of just connect. And I did, before we just transition really, really quickly into the inn, because there is a question about that, and I do want to get to that really quickly. Someone did want me to clarify our clinic locations. Again, which is something I believe we mentioned earlier, but we have 4 medical clinics, My Choice Medical Clinic in 4 different counties. That's Butler, Armstrong, Indiana, and Westmoreland County. The Westmoreland County is actually located in Greensburg, so hopefully that clarifies that. Excuse me. So then here's a question about the maternity home. What does the maternity home look like? So that's
It's
a very
beautiful.
Excuse me, but so I would say this to kind of get more specific. Yeah, how long do the residents typically stay? What does programming look like? Let's kind of hit a couple of those points.
Well, we opened the maternity home in 2017, and that really came after a season of seeing a lot of clients through our clinics that really would qualify for a maternity home, meaning they were couch surfing, they were just moving from friend to friend, and then once they outstay their welcome, they move to the next friend. And a lot of them broken relationships with family. Some of them have burned every bridge, so they have no support system. And so all these people kind of qualified for a maternity home because they were the ones falling through the cracks. And so that was kind of what started this whole vision of the home. That vision actually started in, I think, 14 is when it actually started. And you see it didn't happen until 17 because there was a lot of refining that God wanted to do through the ministry and just making sure that it was exactly what he wanted. It's simple. It's a simple ranch house here in Butler County. And it's not anything extravagant. It's just a home. It's a family. We value family. We believe that they will thrive in a family environment. So how long can a resident stay? They can stay depending what that looks. I don't really have an answer for that because it really depends on when they come to us, what their needs are. If there's other residents in the house, there's a lot of factors that fall into that. We do want them to come and stay with us after the baby's born. So it's not once the baby's born, they're done, but they can stay. Typically, the residents that have been there, usually about 6 weeks postpartum is when they start kind of getting the itch that they're ready to transition. But at least we're there for that really important time that, when they're a new mom coming home with a baby, they're trying to get back into life. We're there to help support them. So really, it depends on the resident, depends on what their needs are.
One of the things that our maternity home coordinator, Christy Pittman, likes to say is we are not what you would call 3 hots in a cot. We're not just come crash on our couch. So programming.
Yes.
While we have house parents that live in, and what does an average day or week look like? Is there programs they go through, or are they just kind of just playing Uno the whole time? What are they doing?
Actually, Scrabble. No, I'm just kidding. We believe in programming, so we're here to support them however they need. Basically, their programming looks like their needs. So if they need a job, if they need schooling, some of them maybe have not finished high school. Well, that's on the priority list to help them get their GED so that they can get a job. They can get a better job to be able to provide for their family. Some of them need to go through grief counseling, post-abortive counseling, who knows? It's basically as we meet with them and kind of do that inventory, just having a goal and set up those goals with them and say, here are the goals that we want to accomplish. Some of those goals are smaller and some of those are bigger. But what I love from even in the past residents that we've had, there's a lot of aftercare. So even after they leave the inn and they transition out, there's still contact. Like we still see them, we still communicate with them. Our house parents that had transitioned out in October, Val and Jim continue to connect with the residents that they had under their care. And I believe that Bill and Ginger will do the same. And so it's never ending. Pro-life never ends. So however we can be a support to them, we'll do that. Wanted to say the house will be able to accommodate 4 women. We could add 5 if we needed to in a dire situation, but it's just simple ranch, but we can house 4 women and babies. And we'll do whatever we can to help them get on the road of restoration.
So there's a couple more questions, and I do want to address one, and then I'm going to kind of pause before we address the last question, because we want to kind of wrap this up. We want to thank you. First off, I was not expecting this many questions to come in live. This is awesome.
Especially after the debacle.
Exactly. So those of you sticking out with us, thank you so much. There was a question about education again, and will these courses or classes be online anywhere? So that is something that so I feel like
Good question.
I feel like BJ and I have filmed these courses so many
many
times, and then
times.
we see something about it we don't like, and then we take it down, and then we put it back up, and then we take. But for the time being, we are still fully operating our Instagram page. That is where most of our teenagers are, and they follow us and they interact with us quite a bit. We get a lot of DMs from them about random stuff, but we teach, and it's called. If you want to look us up, it's at Educate My Choice. Okay, so if that's something you want to give us a follow on Instagram, you can follow us on Facebook too. But we have a very heavy presence there, and we do a lot of just mini teaching lessons there. But do you have?
And something exciting that we are working on.
Here it is.
That is going to be launched hopefully within the next month or two. Is an app. We're actually launching an app that it's going to be called My Choice Plus. And in that app is going to have information about our clinics, about our locations, but it's also going to have a suite of educational videos, content, links for our clients, for our students to be able to go to and just kind of have it all in one section for them to access a library of information as well as a live chat service, ways to contact and schedule appointments. It's going to be a really, really just a very versatile education tool that we're going to be able to put right into the hands of our clients, our students, and our donors to get access to all the information, all the education that we have.
Thank you for remembering that. I've actually been. That came up earlier in my head, and then I don't have anything to write it down. So thank you for addressing the app. I do just want to mention, too, that if you have questions and we end this, please feel free to continue to comment them because we will answer them just online. Absolutely. We want to answer your questions. We don't want you to feel like we're cutting you off or anything, so please continue to ask your questions. But I do want to just go over the giving options one more time, coupled with another question that we had to come in, and then I'm going to close us with one final question that I think is going to be a good one. It was earlier in the thread, so I saw it, don't worry. But our giving options. So again, if any of you missed our Vimeo link, go to our Life Choices page, click on that. You can watch the banquet in full. You can hear from Angela. You'll hear from BJ. He kind of gives us a challenge. And then, but there is giving options there. And so I want to kind of just go over those once again with you. You can give by mail. So you can mail in a check. And that's something that you can do monthly or one time. You can also call it in. So again, click on that Vimeo link. There is a number that you'll be able to see to call in. Or just go to our Life Choices page, yourlifechoicesinfo.com/donate. And all of the online options to give will be there. PayPal, text to give, the address to mail in a check, all of that. And so please, if you're looking to support us monthly or with a one-time gift, that is what this evening has been all about. And so thank you so much for joining in with that. And then the other question was, do you hold any other events that we can get involved with or help out? This is tentative because of everything that's going on in the world right now, but we do host a walk every year. Yes. And the walk is a fun run / games / vendor events / everything.
It's a lot of fun.
It's fun.
It's a lot
So
of
that
fun.
is something to be looking out for in the near future.
It's
Please.
really our family event.
Yes. And so
You know?
that we're always looking for
Yeah.
volunteers.
Yeah, and over the last couple of years, every year we've been making some just little tweaks in here and there because we're constantly wanting to make it better, more family friendly, making it available so that young children all the way up to the elderly can come and have things to be able to engage in, and obviously to promote the walk portion of it and participate in that as well. But we're really excited about the direction that it's taken. So yeah.
Which is supposed to be July 11th. Pending
Hooray.
all of this.
Yes.
So we'll keep you posted. But that is the date, and it's at Armstrong High School.
Yes. And before we close out with this final question,
That was the final question.
No. That was the tail end of the get involved financial giving options question. Tomorrow, if any of you missed any of this, tomorrow both the entire banquet as a whole plus this Q&A will be on Facebook and YouTube. We want you to be around to check that out if you missed out on this. And by the way, the beauty of technology is when these events are over, this is shareable forever. Okay.
Yeah, so please do that.
So
We
please
appreciate
share,
all of your
yes.
shares.
Tag your family members, friends, anybody that maybe has been interested in learning about us but couldn't make it out tonight. We would love for you to just be an advocate. Again, fortifying this ministry. You are a part of this just as much as we are. But I will end it here. And this question was asked earlier, and it was, how do you all stay so passionate? And I think that question should be answered by all of us combined, but I think that's a good sign-off question. How do we stay so passionate?
I think looking at the three of us, never would we have ever thought that this is what we'd be doing. Honestly, I feel like it was God ordained and called each one of us, our whole staff, each one of them, you can see God's hand in each one of them for this season of their life. And I think that we stay passionate because we're connected with Him, first and foremost. But second is we really love each other. And ministry is hard, but ministry is a lot easier when you do it with people that you love. And so there's a lot of, we feed off of each other. And so things that Marty's really passionate about, he'll come back about the prison and here's what's happening. And it gets you excited. And BJ with the students and, we hear from the inn of what's happening there. We get excited together. And I feel like that's what kind of fuels that passion is that we're seeing lives really transformed and lives saved from abortion. And I love that. Like when you see a woman change her mind and you hear those stories, that you can't help but be passionate about that. Yeah. So
Passion ignites passion. And she stole my thunder because that's my almost verbatim. I would say the same thing. I was called here. That's the only way I can explain why I'm doing what I'm doing today. But the passion that I have in my relationship with God that is translated to this is magnified because of community. The community that I've found within this staff, the community that I've found within the schools, with the students, with the just individual communities that we get to serve in. God has revealed through this whole thing, through being a part of Life Choices, that community is really one of the most important things. It's vital. And because, as she said, when I come into the office and I'm having a down day, but Marty comes in or Jackie or Bree or Joey, they come in and they get excited about something. Passion ignites.
Can't help but get excited.
Especially when Joey gets up and does his goofy little dances.
I would do it for you right now, but I'm not.
You don't want to
No,
see
I'm
that.
not going to do it. I thought about it, but I don't want to become a meme. So, but passion ignites passion, and so we're to kind of go full circle. We are fortified within ourselves. Our community of staff has fortified our own passions.
And I would just, I'm going to piggyback on what both of them said. I think that's hitting the nail on the head. Listen, as big of a drag as Zoom meetings have been through this whole thing, there is no one I would rather Zoom with more than my Life Choices family. It's actually like, we make it fun.
So sweet.
Kind of. You could tell that we're all pretty much over it, but it's just, we're a family. And passion ignites passion. But I would also say, too, I would also just say too, I mean, we're not in this ministry to get anything out of it for ourselves. This is just a life-giving ministry that somehow, some way, God has called each of us and the 20-some odd other people that are a part of this ministry, and you as the donor as a part of this ministry, and our prayer team is a part of this ministry, and just our board, everybody. This is a life-giving ministry, and it just fills you with so much joy and passion when you know you're doing this to better the community around you, to better lives, and that just makes you a better person because of it. I absolutely love it. Wouldn't change it for the world.
I'll just say, you know how when you go through ups and downs, you know, it unites the staff even more. And so there's times that, you know, things happen and you're feeling low, and that's where we rally around each other and just encourage one another. But in those times of those high moments, it's the same thing. You know, we can celebrate together. And so we always say, what is it, the 3-minute party? You know, we have a lot of 3-minute parties, like celebrating when we get that text that she chose life. You know, we're celebrating in the office. They're not only celebrating in the clinic, but we are celebrating because we are an extension of them. And so we do a lot of those 3-minute parties together and celebrating each of the successes across the board, across the ministry, I guess, of Life Choices.
And so with that, I think the perfect sign-off, well, I think we are absolutely going to end in prayer, but I think the perfect sign-off, Christy, you hit the nail on the head. This whole evening is a fundraising banquet. And Christy just commented that our donors rock. Mm-hmm. And let me just tell you,
Amen.
Everything you learned from the Vimeo link to what you're hearing about now up on this stage for this live Q&A would not be possible without our donors. That's why it is vital for us. That's why, honestly, I'm unashamed to ask for funds, because it's because of you that we get to do the. You may not be called on the front lines to sit knee to knee with clients, inmates, residents, but your donations make it possible that those who have been called can go and do. It's amazing, and I just cannot thank you enough. Those of you who have watched tonight, those of you who have donated or are going to donate or are going to share this video, who have commented below, who have interacted, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. So with that being said, Angela, I believe it would just be fitting if she, as our executive director, would close us in prayer. But again, continue. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment down below. We would love to address them. If it's about giving, if it's about our ministry, if it's about what's to come, please feel free to drop those questions. We would be glad to answer them. Thank you so much for joining us. And Angela, would you close us in prayer?
I will. Thank you again. Will you join us in prayer? Father, we thank you for tonight. This wasn't at all what we expected, but Lord, we know that you're going to use it because we believe in who you are and we believe that you are good. So Father, we thank you for our donors. Lord, you know they're on the other side of the screen, and Lord, we are so, so grateful for their willingness to partner with us and to walk through this journey with us. And so, Lord, I just ask that you just bless them abundantly. Lord, I thank you for our board that oversees this ministry. Lord, that you would continue to just grow them strong in you. Lord, as they guide the ship that is Life Choices, Lord. So, Lord, I pray that you would just be with our staff, be with our students, our clients, and our residents, Lord. Every aspect. That, Lord, we have seen you hold value to each one. And so, Lord, continue to fuel us with the passion and the desire to see that every life is valued because you value every life. God, we thank you for this night. We thank you for being present in this place. And, Lord, for this ministry, we're so grateful. In name we ask you. Amen. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.